Hello everyone. I thought I'd do a quick video before I go out in the garden. It's sunny. I've got some stuff to do up there before I resume full-time work next week. It's basically about an article that's coming out in the June Watchtower, which sort of really, how can I put this? All the changes that are in the organisation, and there have been ones I've even missed. I just watched a video by somebody called Facts on JW. You should watch it. That's who this lassie does it. And she goes through all the changes that have happened over the past few years, and it's absolutely incredible. And yet, of course, as we know, at no point do they apologise for the changes or what damage has already been done, or any real explanation for the changes, or why they believe one thing, then they've changed another thing. It's very odd. But in this particular watchtower, and obviously, if you are just a normal Jehovah's Witness, you will be, when all these changes come in, saying, right, hold on a second, why weren't we allowed to toast at my son's wedding? Why weren't we allowed to wear slacks? Why wasn't my husband why wasn't my husband oh god, how can I say this out? Why wasn't my husband allow me to stick one right up my arse where we were, when we were where we had enough energy to engage in unusual lovemaking. Oh dear, without the elders being informed and getting disfellowshipped. There's just things like this. It just goes on and on and on. The amount of changes that we've seen with Jehovah's Witnesses recently, it's I've said this, anybody who is a former Jehovah's Witness like myself, this organisation is unrecognizable to the one that I was brought up with. I've given this example before. If a Jehovah's Witness from 2026 touched a stone circle in Outlander style and arrived in the same location in Scotland in 1980 and 1990, and then thought, right, I'll just blend in. I'll just blend in with the brothers and do the street work or the non-street work. And then these just started coming in. Next thing is they started then telling brothers of all the thoughts, all the new light from 2026. That person would be viewed as an apostate and would be very quickly found out that they'd be drummed out the organisation and trying to hit those stones yet again, trying fast forwarding back to 2026, because that person would have been clearly seen as either somebody who's gone mad or somebody who just clearly has the thinking patterns of somebody who wants to change the organisation and to apostatise. And yet all of a sudden that's what this organisation's done. The Jehovah's Witness today are an apostatized version of the organisation that I knew, in the 70s and 80s and 90s. It's incredible. And yet all of a sudden, well, not all of us, of course, because a lot of us saw the changes coming and then realised, what, this is all the hallmarks of a organisation directed by men, not by some invisible guy up in the clouds, which is why many of us left. Why more people, and I only left over one particular point, well, maybe two, the changing of the creative days, of course, but the big one was the one change in that one verse relating to the generation. But subsequently, all these thoughts and changes have gone in. And if you are a Jehovah's Witness who has the capacity to think logically, how in God's name, Jehovah, how in God's name, Yahweh, is it possible for you to just sit back and to accept these changes and not think there's something a little bit off here? In this, I'll just read this. I don't know which article this is in because this last year brings up. Anyway, this is what it says. It says, our loyalty to Jehovah can be tested in a number of ways. For example, how do we react when we learn of an adjustment in the understanding of a Bible verse or of a change in the way that the disciple-making work is organised? Now, come on, because yet what that's trying to do, yet again, is trying to say, if you have a problem adjusting, accepting the small adjustments. It's your problem. You've got to keep faithful to Jehovah, and remember, this is his organization. So if you're murmuring about things, saying to yourself, come on, this cannot be right. This can't be right. Why so many changes? And the amount of changes in the past couple of years is just absolutely incredible. Even in the past 12 months, anybody who has been a witness for a long time must be thinking, what is going on here? And yet, if you then start to question why these changes and how there's no proper explanation for them, and why we believe something and now that's fundamentally changed, so many things change in like 12 months, you're the person who's got the problem, because you are showing lack of faith in this organization. And if you show lack of faith in organization, clearly you lack faith in Jehovah God. You're showing disloyalty to Jehovah because you're questioning why all these changes in the organization are occurring. In fact, the article goes to them use a scripture from 1 Corinthians 15:58 and Colossians 1:23. It says, here's another illustration. Now the witnesses love the illustrations. To illustrate the importance of having a strong foundation for our faith, think of a building constructed in an area prone to earthquakes. I've heard this one before. Such a building needs a strong foundation in order to survive. Similarly, in order for us to survive tests of faith, like those mentioned in the preceding paragraph. So they are admitting here that these small adjustments, and they're not small adjustments, these are huge, massive earthquake, they're not adjustments, these are, seismic changes. These are off the scale changes within Jehovah's Witnesses. And it says here that you need to have a strong foundation to survive these changes, not caused by external influences, not caused by political movements or wars or other people. These seismic changes, these earthquakes are caused internally. They're caused by the organization. The organization's change is eroding people's faith because they're wondering to themselves is how secure is the foundation that they've built their lives upon. This is just unbelievable. And I just question people who are still in the organisation today, or anybody who's watching this video who still is a witness. What is your foundation based on? When basically what this organisation is actually doing is chipping away at that foundation. That foundation which you've had for maybe 30, 40, 50 years. They're chipping away, they're eroding that foundation. More and more is coming till eventually it will all crumble. You can't keep on shoring this up. When the pressure is too much for the foundations, get hacked away by the organisation themselves. It's like the builder of a house goes into the cellar and starts knocking away down foundations. This is what's happening. So I when this comes out, this yet again is to keep the sheep in there for them not to think, to say, yes, if I all of a sudden start to doubt these changes, these small adjustments in the congregation, it's me who's being disloyal. It's incredible that guilt is always forced upon the punters, the average Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're made to feel disloyal to not only to this organisation, but to this God who they have believed in for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. It's unbelievable. Honestly, this is similar to, I've said it before, the MAGA movement in America, whereupon it doesn't matter what this guy Trump says, all the lies he comes out with. Even just the week that he actually said he's just learned that postal in voting, that only America does that. Only America does that. He just learned. He brought up the same thing about a year ago. He's clearly forgotten. He knew it back then. And what did he do this week? Him and his family did postal voting the hypocrisy of this, because he says that it can, the wrong thing with postal voting is somehow it can be manipulated. The fact is, Donald, as we all know, any country which has post does postal in voting, including Great Britain and 32 other ones. Yet you get these people who, it doesn't matter what this guy says, doesn't matter how many times there are changes and he flip-flops and this and that other, they will still keep the faith. And unfortunately, in this organisation, some of them really do believe that that man is like the organisation. God has appointed him to his position, and that if they doubt him, that means they are actually doubting God and their faith. It's incredible, but that's where we are. It's quite simple. Let's just, at the end of the day, the end of this day is people like him, religious organisation like the Jehovah's Witnesses, literally just don't want you to think. And if you start to think, you're the bad guy. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. I've got things to do outside now, but I just thought I had to get that one right off my back, because it really did put my back up when I watched this video. Why do they keep changing on the YouTube channel Facts on JW? When you go through all these changes, Jesus fucking Christ, unbelievable. Anyway, bye-bye. Hope you have a nice day.